Our roads stink, but will there be money to fix them? Plus, we're following Detroit's big moves to get rid of the debt. Also, there's more than one option for failing schools. We'll explain that for you. And a closer look at the congressional races. It's your place for news, political analysis, and all things Michigan. MiWeek starts right now.
Michigan's turnaround is being powered by things we do better than anywhere else in the world. Today's global leaders routinely turn to Michigan to work on their most difficult problems. That's because the engineering talent in this part of the world is simply the best. So many possibilities lie ahead for Michigan's future. These opportunities are here and starting to happen. The vision for the new Michigan. Share it, talk it up, drive it home. Funding is also provided by Delta.
Hi there and welcome to MiWeek. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Christy McDonald. The number one complaint this week, not the weather, the roads. Lawmakers looking to help out counties and cities that are running out of road money, but at what cost to big long-term projects? Also, Detroit's plan of adjustment is expected this week. Why this is one of the most pivotal points of the bankruptcy process. And the new state district that was supposed to take on failing schools will no longer be the only option. What does this really mean for the EAA? And election 2014 focus this week on the races in the 14th and 13th congressional districts. Representative John Conyers may have his toughest challenger in years. But let's start tonight with our roads. I'm sure you have a choice, few words to describe them this time of year, especially since this winter has been an absolute bear. So we have several things at play here. Local funds running out for plows and salt, meaning that there's nothing left for maintenance. Lawmakers are thinking about throwing $100 million to help out. But what does that cost us in repair projects down the road? Let's get the conversation going now with Nolan Finley, the editorial page editor of the Detroit News, and Stephen Henderson, the editorial page editor of the Detroit Free Press. Gentlemen, I want to start talking about the roads, but right now I'm being pulled in like a tractor beam to Stephen's socks, and I'm wondering, is that like a specific mood at all? I mean, can the socks tell the mood?
No, I always have on stripy or some sort of patterned socks every week.
So Nolan, can we expect this from you sometime soon?
Nolan's too cool to wear fancy socks.
Looks like Dr. Seuss.
All right. Well, let's take that $100 million instead of putting it into sock wear. Let's talk about what lawmakers want to do for the roads.
Well, I mean, it's been a brutal winter, as you said, and it's racked up a lot of costs for these local communities and for the state. The plows have been out almost nonstop, although I've only seen 2 all winter. But getting rid of that snow was a huge unexpected expense, and the state is right to try to help out these local communities. Now, where's the money going to come from? What will it mean up the road? In this state, when given a choice of where to spend our money, we've always deferred infrastructure repairs. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen again, that we're not going to spend the money this summer to keep the roads in good repair, and we'll be right back here next winter in worse shape.
So $100 million is really a drop in the bucket?
Well, and that's real money for the problem you have right now, and you probably need every dime of it to fix the roads that are just literally falling apart. I mean, I drove Greenfield between 8 Mile and 9 Mile about a week ago, and it's just one big pothole. I mean, cars were going like 5 miles an hour trying to just.
You're almost to a point where you can't steer around stuff anymore.
It's crazy. You can't. You just got to get through them. And so the problem is, though, that this is not a function of this winter. This is a function of us not having invested over a long period of time, and so this bad winter has made all of it catch up. And so the $100 million you might spend now will fix the roads that we have, but it won't prevent the long-term problem from recurring. We've got to come up with this $1 billion that the governor wants.
It's chronic infrastructure neglect. This has been going on, as Steve said, for decades, but not just on roads and bridges, water and sewer, everything. Given a choice of taking care of our responsibilities to our infrastructure, we've always kicked the can down, said, well, they'll last long enough. Somebody else can take care of it later. When you start counting in the cost of repairing this infrastructure and bringing it back to where it needs to be for this state to become competitive, our deficit situation is a lot greater at every level of government than we think it is.
So if you take this $100 million, you're going to be giving some to the counties, you'll be giving some to municipalities, some to the state. Well, what does that take away from projects that were supposed to maybe happen this summer, and then what could we see next year, because those projects haven't been done?
Well, we have the money, frankly. I mean, if you did smarter things with the surplus.
Well, they just voted this week to start pulling it through committee for a rolling back of the
income tax, right? I mean, that's a bad plan for that money. The $100 million, you just write the check out of the surplus for that, for roads. But again, it's the focus on the short term. I mean, we really have to get past this idea of managing by crisis, or managing from crisis to crisis.
Okay, so is it education? Is it education then? Do people? I mean, if you can't educate people this summer about, or this winter about how bad your roads are and how long term you need to fix them, then when can you do it?
We have become accustomed to getting a lot for very little, and that has to do with the largesse that we had, the economic largesse that we had for such a long time, covered over a lot of the needs that we had. Now that the economy here has shifted and it's smaller, it's going to generate less money for government for probably for decades. We're being asked to do things better and different, and we're not accustomed to it.
But as bad as these roads are, and everybody's banging around, griping about the roads, and
because it's fun to complain about that. Because if you can't complain about that, you're going to complain about the weather.
How many people have you heard, look, gosh, I busted a tire, I had to get my tire fixed, or my rim, and that cost me $200 or $300. And yet today, even after this winter, even after driving these roads, you put a measure on the ballot saying, we're going to raise the fuel tax, we're going to raise your registration fees to fix these roads, it would still be
people
defeated.
voted down.
And
sure.
so, I mean, we've got to be willing to pay for infrastructure. It won't fix itself.
So we get what we pay for?
I got an argument on Twitter with somebody this week who was talking about how expensive his water bill was, and that he didn't want to have it go up. And what he said was he pays more than $1,000 a year for water. Now, if you think about that, that's less than $100 a month. Think of the other bills that you pay monthly. Think of your cable bill. How many people are only paying $100 a month for cable? Water shouldn't be that cheap, because and when it is, that means you're not taking care of the system, and that means water mains burst all over the place. You've got to change the way people prioritize this stuff and think about where their money ought to go.
But people do have a legitimate beef in one regard, Steve. They have been paying their water bills, they have been paying their taxes, and they've seen a lot of their money, particularly in the water and sewage department, squandered over the years.
Sure.
And so they might chafe a little at saying, we got to pay even more now to make up for your mismanagement and incompetence. So, there is that factor too. It's not all just, oh gosh, I'm cheap.
Well, that's helped.
No, but sometimes you do get what you pay for, though.
Right. Well, and that's helped to make people skeptical of the idea of paying. Some of the mistakes that have been made in DWSD. But if you eliminated all the waste entirely, we'd still be very, very far short of what we should be spending to take care of that.
All right, so we'll be watching in Lansing to see how much money they're going to put towards the roads coming in the next couple of weeks. Well, we've all been waiting this week for Detroit's plan of adjustment. Emergency Manager Kevin Orr's office said it would come by the end of this week, and that's when we would see Orr's roadmap for Detroit to make its way out of bankruptcy. The list of who is owed what, plans for creditors, retirees, and how the city will function after bankruptcy. We do tape the show a little earlier on Thursday, so barring any late afternoon Thursday conversation. But why, Stephen, I'm going to start with you, is this one of the most pivotal processes in the bankruptcy?
Well, this is where you get the detail of the plan, both the plan to restructure the debt and the plan to restructure city government, which we haven't seen any of quite yet. The consultants who've been making all this money, and people have been complaining about how much it is. This is where we see what their work product is going to be like. How is the city going to function? How is it going to enhance services? Where is it going to enhance services? We'll see all that in this plan that Orr is going to drop. But then we'll also see, how does he plan to treat the creditors? This unsecured debt and secured debt question should be resolved in the plan that he gives to the court.
It'll be resolved from the city's perspective.
From the city's perspective,
this is
that's right.
The city's proposal. This is not necessarily a blueprint of how things
or what
are
will
gonna go,
actually end up happening.
Because the court can change it. These creditors have a right to challenge anything and
That's
to battle it out. They don't have to sit there and say, okay,
No.
we're going to take it. And the creditors are still pushing back hard that the $820 million that have been raised to save the DAR and bail out the pensioners is not enough, that they think there's more value in that art museum than they're getting out. And they're going to keep pushing,
They'll keep
fighting until they think they can't get it. The pensioners still think they're protected by the Constitution. They shouldn't have to give up anything, so they're going to push back. And I would expect in this plan they're going to lose still a piece of their pension state.
Don't you think that they have to lose a little bit?
Well, the governor said last week when I asked him about that, he thought they would be sure. I mean, he said it's a simple question of math. You can raise X amount of dollars, but we think we're Y amount of dollars short, and the gap between the two is what would come out of the pensions. I still believe that in the end, somebody will bridge that gap, particularly if it ends up being much smaller than what you've already got on the table. What's the reason not to come up with some more money to make that whole?
But when we started, that was a $3 billion nut.
Over 30 years.
And they've raised $820
Right.
million. There's a big gap between those
Well,
two
but
numbers.
that gap could be made up if you take that $820 million, and you won't get all of it on day one. I mean, it comes out over time. But if you invest that money the right way, you could certainly grow that $820 million into a couple, times multiple over 30 years, and that could get you closer to that $3 billion. It's really a question of how you manage it, and also how you manage the pension funds, right? Quit paying out 13th checks, quit doing all this other stuff, and you might be closer to that $3 billion.
But the OR's job, the mediator's job, is to convince these creditors that this is it. This is all there is. You can keep fighting, you
Sure.
can keep
You're not gonna
dragging this out, and in the end, this is going to be the amount we have to settle these debts.
Well,
I think that's the challenge over the next few months.
Even some of the deals that Orr tried to put through, the judge would say that it's even too generous, that you have to go back to the table. Let me ask you this, Stephen. You brought up the governor. Is this blueprint that we're going to eventually see, is this solely Orr's plan, or would he get some kind of input from the state?
Well, I think the states had a fair amount of say in some of this
The
stuff
governor
too.
personally?
The governor, well, I doubt the governor personally, but certainly Treasury has helped out with this, and and the consultants, who are involved, a lot of them are people that the state either recommended or pushed on the city, and there's lots of close relationships here that in terms of working out how this all gets resolved. I happen to think, though, that this is where Kevin Orr earns his paycheck, right? This is why you hire somebody like this to manage this bankruptcy. You look at the other cities that have gone through municipal bankruptcies, it took them years to get to this point, and it's because they had basically amateurs in terms of federal courts and bankruptcies leading the process.
So in looking at those other municipal bankruptcies, and of course Detroit is an entirely different situation, have those areas, had they been able to be very close to their blueprint? Or is it something that, that was totally different? Things ended up being totally different coming out of bankruptcy than what that original blueprint was? Because that's my question.
Yeah, they've
for
had terrible
people
problems.
who are watching this and people who are living in Detroit, and when they hear this, oh, here's the blueprint of how we're going to come out of this, how close are they actually going to be to that when we look at it next September?
I think it'll be closer because, in this case, because you do have some very competent mediators. Judge Rosen's been doing a really good job of mediating this thing. And as Steve said, you have professionals handling it, not politicians. I think the process is going to go more swiftly in Detroit and more closely to plan than you've seen in other places. I'm sure they even had plans that are sensible plans in other places.
They put plans together that the politicians in charge put together, and they didn't understand as much about bankruptcy and the federal court process as somebody like Kevin Orr did, and so their plans got chewed up by creditors and other objectors in court, and those cities in a lot of ways got fleeced of city services and things that Orr's plan is trying to protect, and I think he's in a better position to make the case to Judge Rhodes why that needs to happen than a politician would be.
And in other places, I mean, they were single issue bankruptcies, more or less.
Sure.
They got in trouble on a project, if you will, a sewer or water project, and it was a matter of the court coming in and say, well, you got to pay for it, so we're going to raise taxes for this to cover this specific debt. And you know, it's a much easier process than Detroit.
So if you're a resident of Detroit and you hear this blueprint coming out, what should you be looking for?
I think you're looking at the plan to restructure city government. You're looking at what's going to happen to my services, how are you going to get police response time down, how are you going to get fire response time down, what other services are going to still exist inside the city, and how will we pay for them? That's the other part of this, is that he's got to show in this plan how these services will be supported once you come out of bankruptcy and your money is not being sucked. 40 cents on the dollar is not going to your debt.
All right, well, we'll be watching that in the next couple of days. Okay, let's head over to Lansing. The Education Achievement Authority, the EAA, is no longer the only place for failing schools. State Superintendent Mike Flanagan made that announcement this week, that the EAA was no longer exclusively the only district taking over failing schools in Michigan. Now, the EAA was created back in 2011, so far has not been codified into law, but has 15 schools, all from Detroit. Is this saying now that we don't think the EAA can handle the number of schools that potentially could be coming, or is this just saying there needs to be other options in the EAA?
I think John Covington said that very thing, that we never intended to operate 150 schools, which is what this could ultimately do. My question from the beginning on the EAA has been, if they're failing schools, particularly in a city like Detroit, a district like Detroit, where you have an overcapacity of school desks, school seats, more seats than you have children, why are you trying to save failing schools? Why not close them and put your resources on schools that are performing better? I still don't get the premise of this.
The EAA has been controversial, and now their critics will say, see, now this is a sterling, this is not an endorsement of what the EAA is doing if the state is taking away the exclusivity for them to deal with failing schools.
Well, I think
would you agree with that?
Well, I think the exclusivity was a bad idea to begin with, so I think this is better policy than what we started with. The EAA, it makes people crazy for some reason.
Why does it make people crazy?
I get more nasty emails from people in a week right now about the EAA than almost anything else. And my response typically is, look, we don't know yet whether that model works. It's only been around for a year and a couple of months. That's not long enough to try anything in education. You really do have to give it 3 years. You have to measure the results, which that system is doing and is better equipped to do than DPS was, which never measured, according to any sort of national norm, how the kids were doing. You look at these schools that they took and put in the EAA, those 15 schools, those were some of the worst schools in the entire state. They were not performing. In the first year, they can show that they moved about 40 to 45% of those kids up to the point where they're progressing a year during a year of school. I don't care what you say, that's progress. It's not where you should be, but that's a heck of a lot further along the path than it was before. So you got to give them time to work that out. Now, should it be a statewide system? I don't think we can make that decision either. Everyone's got to sort of take a deep breath and wait for this to either work or fail, and then figure out how we go forward. Do we take that model and scale it up, or do we tweak it and do something else?
And this wasn't necessarily a victory for the EAA's opponents, which are primarily teacher unions, because what Flanagan said in this letter is we want other options, including charter schools, which they don't like any better than they do the EAA schools, including private schools, and that's legitimate. Different places will require different solutions, and I think it's a reflection that one model isn't going to work.
Are we finally going to see some kind of legislative push that's going to actually get through that will codify this into law?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think the fighting now is between people who are EAA believers and advocates who are just saying, let's do this. Let's get this in every place you can immediately, and people who are saying, no, it's the worst thing ever. Let's get rid of it. I mean,
but if it doesn't have that support in Lansing, and if it's not codified, does it mean it could fail though.
I don't think that has
fail either
anything.
way.
I don't
It
think
could fail
that,
either way, but having the backing, though,
Yeah.
of the legislature.
I think it needs to be codified because there are lots of things about it that we need to sort of standardize. I mean, it needs to be treated like other school systems. But the performance aspect of it is about what happens inside the district. And there are some things happening in those classrooms that are good ideas and are innovative, and they're showing that you're taking kids who were not progressing at all and moving them forward. I think that's what we ought to be focused on, is how do we speed that up and make it available to more kids in the state.
And we followed a lot of those schools. We'll make sure we'll check out their report card at the end of the year and see what the progress has been. Time for a little election 2014 update. Tonight, a closer look at the race for the 14th Congressional District. That's Gary Peters' seat. He's giving up to run for Senate. There are a lot of players here, but it's been very quiet. Plus, a challenge to Congressman John Conyers in the 13th. Let's start in the 13th. Horace Sheffield has come out and said that he is going to challenge John Conyers. Would this be the biggest challenge that Conyers has faced in years?
Yeah, I think it will be, and it's time. I mean, a guy should not just automatically have claim to a seat. He should have to defend a seat, and he should have to make the case that he's still capable and competent to do the job. Now, Sheffield's had a little bit of trouble. He had a racket at his house, and I don't know how that's going to play in, but he's a strong candidate, a formidable candidate here.
Strong enough to knock off an incumbent congressman,
Well,
one of the longest-serving congressmen.
So far, no one's been able to be that strong, right? I mean, I can remember, what is it, 20 years ago now, that Butch Hollowell mounted a really credible challenge to John Conyers, and in the end, he got
But that was a
beat
different
pretty
John
badly.
Conyers.
It was a different John Conyers. That was a more energized and engaged John Conyers than we see now. You know, I think the unfortunate thing here is seeing someone like Conyers, who is, you know, a civil rights icon, you know, someone who's done really important work for this community in Washington, sort of languish the way he has in the last couple of terms and become, you know, just sort of a placeholder. That's no way to end his legacy, number one. It's also no way to serve this community. We can't afford that. And so somebody close to him is dropping the ball and not getting him to sort of really think about when it's time to go, as opposed to having to lose to somebody else.
But you said a more energetic John Conyers about 20 years ago. But wouldn't you argue that he has more power now in terms of congressional clout to be able to get things done for Detroit than a new congressman in that district could
if
have?
he does, it certainly has.
We're not
played
seeing
out.
it, yeah.
You're not seeing it, and you know, power is one thing. You also have to have lucidity. You have to have the energy and the interest in the job, and not sure John Conyers can lay claim to all those things.
All right, let's take a look at the 14th Congressional District. We have kind of a crowded field here, but I haven't heard a lot of buzz in campaigning yet. You have Bert Johnson, you have Brenda Lawrence. You've got quite, yeah.
I feel like right now Brenda Lawrence is picking up the sort of important endorsements in that
From who?
race. Emily's
Emily's List that came
that's
out
that's
last
a
week,
big
right?
one. Yeah, I think that was last week. I mean, I guess I'm hearing her name more than some of the others, and she's somewhat more recognizable than some of the others, namely because she's run.
I was just going to say, she took a swing and missed last time around.
Yeah, and she also ran for Oakland County Executive, so people in that district probably know her name a little more than they know the others. There are some other really good candidates in that race, though.
There's a lot
I feel
of them,
like, and there are a lot of people. I mean, I'm not sure we'll see all of them get to the primary. I mean, is there that much money to be able to run that many campaigns in that district?
Where are the unions going to go?
You know, that's going to be one of the key decisions. I think Brenda can probably get that, and if she does, then the race is probably over, quite frankly, because she's gotten the other kind of endorsements that she needs, and I don't see big endorsements going to the other candidates right now. So,
Who do you see and who do you like, Nolan?
Well, I mean, at this point, it's too early to say who you like. There's a couple former state lawmakers or term limit state lawmakers in it. It's good to see some of the younger talent in this community getting a chance to
step it up.
to run. I'm surprised Hanson Clark didn't jump back in, or might he yet?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I haven't heard anything about what he's doing. I mean, I think Rudy Hobbs is somebody in that race that I think he might be a little early, right? I'd like to see him spend a little more time in Lansing, get a couple more things done. But he's somebody who I think is on that trajectory to be able to claim something like that for himself. So.
All right, real quick before we end the show, people are being trained this weekend to start collecting signatures for the minimum wage question to be put on the ballot. They're looking at $10.10 an hour, and hopefully they can get, what, 250,000 signatures?
Is that what it is?
I think they can take it to the legislator, and they don't do anything, it's going to go straight on the ballot.
Sure. And the Congressional Budget Office out just this week saying that would cost 500,000 jobs nationwide. You wonder how many of those are in Michigan and how many jobs we can afford to lose.
And what are we looking at in terms of number of people, Stephen, and how this would affect them and bringing them up out of poverty level?
Yeah, I mean the problem
bring
is,
them out of poverty level.
well, it'll get them closer to out of the poverty level. The problem is that you've got too many people who should be in full-time work, making a lot more, stuck in those minimum wage jobs. And again, I don't think this is the solution to that problem. I think it's part of the solution, but we're not working on the other part, which is training people for the jobs that are being available. So
real quick, Nolan, last word.
Yeah, I mean, we know what the impact will be and who it'll hurt. It'll hurt teenagers, entry-level workers, the people trying to get on the ladder. Most of these people are not working middle age, are not supporting families.
And if they get the
smallest
signatures,
percentage.
we could see it on the ballot. And that is going to do it for My Week. Thanks so much for joining us. Next week, we're hitting the road. We'll be taping our show from the Detroit Policy Conference downtown. We hope you join us then. Take care. See you next week.
Business Leaders for Michigan is dedicated to making Michigan a top 10 state for jobs, personal income, and economic growth. Learn more at businessleadersformichigan.com. Funding is also provided by Delta.